Tunaanza na clip. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Real Talk. I'm your host, Abdulhakeem Kigen, and today we have an interesting topic for you. Today we'll be talking about Muslims and the secular education. So today we want to explore the attitude that Muslims have towards secular education. We'll also be telling you why a significant number of Muslims parents here in Kenya opt to take their kids to contemporary schools rather than Islamic integrated schools. And we'll also be answering questions that you've sent to us. Send them to @HorizonTV on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So to help me dissect this topic, I have with me Sheikh Salim Charo, who's an Imam. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I also have Sheikh Yusuf AbuHamza, who serves in SUPKEM under the religious office desk. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And last but not least is Fatmah Kassim, who happens to be a teacher. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is going to be an awesome discussion. So before we start, let's do this. I want us to watch a short clip that will add spice to our conversation. Then we will continue. Listen in.
The imams we have, we go for imams who have not so much gotten into secular learning. Yeah. So once you talk to them about education secular, they seem not to be very keen. So therefore we cannot champion the issue of secular education using such imams. At one point I attended their seminar organized around Kakamega, and actually we are discussing what is it that's making us remain behind. And I told them, you know, imams are the medium of communication between the ummah and the rest. But you find they're not talking when they are on the minbari, they don't discuss anything to do with the secular education. If anything, they demean it. They talk against, they talk ill of it. And you find now people are not very much focused on the secular. We are also saying some of these, we have some groups, I don't know, NGOs or whatever, they go erecting mosques all over. Some even put a mosque where we may not raise even 20 or 40 people to pray in that mosque. So the mosque remains a padlock on throughout. A mosque is not supposed to be padlocked. So we are saying, why can't we instead, these people, start schools, ECDs and primary? You know, once you start a school, you'll commit one classroom to a mosque. I think that. But see, now this is an avenue of now transmitting knowledge, even Islamic, to the students. We started a Muslim school in one of the regions in this sub-county. And for it to take root was not easy. Yeah, it was not easy. We are together with the chairman. When they called the parents who are majorly Muslims, there were very few. They hardly went up beyond 10. They are not there. Our school is attached to the mosque, and total population is 11. And is within the region of Muslims. So which means the Muslims in that place took their children elsewhere and left this school. There's one we started and even took books there, stationery, Shingoto. We found in a class of, a school had 8 students. These 8 students only had 2 Muslims. And the mosque and the office of the school, they face each other like this. When the Imam is going to conduct prayers, as he enters the mosque, the back is facing the administration office, the door of the administration. So he was asking them, as you come to conduct prayers here, when you stand on the minbar, you look at the door of the school. What do you tell Muslims about this school?
Interesting remarks being made there by the principal of Mumia's Boys Secondary Schools, Mumia's Boys Muslim Secondary School, that is, Mr. Asman Osieko, and he talks about different issues there. So we'll be dissecting that to you. So straight right off the bat, Sheikh Yusuf, you are from SUPKEM. You represent Kenyan Muslims. You understand, and in your day-to-day basis, you deal with Muslims in Kenya. So my question is, just paint for us a picture of the overall understanding and perception that Muslims have towards secular education here in Kenya.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. I think from the onset, what we have in Kenya is perhaps what I can say has its roots from the early inventors of education in Kenya. In the beginning, we all know that in the history of education in Kenya, Muslims did not quite participate in the 30s, 20s, and 40s perhaps, because the secular education was actually viewed because it came with Christianity. It came with the missionaries.
Yes.
And if we look at the schools that were there, those schools were set by the missionaries.
Yes.
And to put the record straight, Muslims did not associate themselves with anything that had the missionaries in it, because the feeling or the general feeling was that it was for them, and we Muslims had to set what was ours. And that is why some madrasas were set as early as those years, but they were set in Muslim-dominated areas. So I think with time now, with the developing of the country and the world opening up, I think the importance of both education is now coming in. And because where we live now, I think I can say both secular and religious education are complementing each other. And we cannot say that it's better to take one and leave the other, because they both have different roles to play. We know that religious education play an important role in shaping somebody's spiritual well-being, and it also shapes us and connects us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But on the other hand, also, we know the secular education helps us and shapes us also in terms of how we relate and how we live and the environment in which we are currently as people, as a community. So I think based from the history that we've had, we still have the mindset that we will take a long time in changing. Parents have to understand that both education need to be taken as complementary, but we know some Muslims are still taking one education much more than the other.
Fatmah, Sheikh is saying that some Muslims take one more than the other. You are a teacher. On your day-to-day basis, you deal with both parents and pupils. So how do you place this whole scenario?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As a teacher, I've been teaching for long, and I think that when we look at parents, number one, there are those parents who are religious and they value religion.
Yes.
And they want their children to go through Islamic education, and that is why you find them that they enroll their children in Islamic integrated schools.
Yes.
Some parents also, depending on how they feel about it, they opt for the secular education, not secular as such, but you find that maybe in that school there is a provision for Muslim students. For instance, maybe there is IRE being taught in that school,
yes,
like some of the public schools. So they weigh the two. Although the Islamic system in these two can never be the same, because they get more of Islamic in Islamic integrated schools,
yes,
more than public schools whereby teachers just teach IRE. And so to say, what I can say is that all this also depends on the parents and their upbringing also. Some parents feel like maybe I went through a secular school, public school, maybe a Catholic school. I didn't turn to be a Catholic. I'm still a Muslim.
Yes.
And maybe they look at themselves, they are better off Muslims, and they practice their religion. So they think that even if my child goes to a Catholic school or any other school, apart from Islamic integrated school, it just depends, provided you as a parent maybe you insist and maybe do that part of religious education to your children.
Yes.
But still what we can say is that the days of our parents or our days as parents were a little bit different, and times are changing. The society is totally changing, and we cannot compare our times as parents with this time that our kids are growing up.
So you think there is an improvement in terms of the balance between secular education and Islamic education?
Yes, there is. What I can say about the balancing is that this all depends on capability again.
Yes.
Because when you look at Islamic integrated schools, there is also the cost issue. And being in Kenya, and most of the Kenyan Muslims, majority are poor Muslims. So again, the issue of taking your child to Islamic integrated school, you must have the capability of paying fees.
Absolutely.
And there is also another option. The public schools are free.
Yes.
And if you cannot afford taking your child to Islamic integrated school, the best option is just to take your child to, provided they get education.
Absolutely.
Here, it's not about what you value so much, but it's about what is it that I can give to my child.
It's a matter of what you have and
what you have and what you can give to your child.
Absolutely. Great, great insights there. So before when we were starting the show, we saw a clip, remarks being made by Asman Osieko, who happens to be the principal of Mumia's Boys Muslim Secondary School. And he alluded to the fact that sometimes some imams tend, to discourage, even to go as far as to discourage secular education. Now, Sheikh Salim Charo, you're an imam. I have known you and I've had conversations with you before here in Horizon TV. Where do you place his comments?
I think it's something that it's there, and a lot of people you'll find most of them discouraging, because as imam, know, for some, we think that we are here and our main work here is to call people towards akhirah, or the life in the hereafter. And what she has said, that there is this balance. I think there is a total imbalance when it comes to seeking the secular education and also the religious, because you'll find the most investment is put in the secular. That's what the parents do, and
more weight on the secular.
More weight on the secular.
Yes.
Yeah, and in madrasas, it's just go to the grassroots and you'll hear complaining. Maybe it's either absenteeism, fees not paid, and so on and so forth. And okay, we do have our own issues, in madrasas and so on. But it's like we are looking at it on this angle that. If we let them go to the secular, they may end up, forgetting their deen. So let's encourage them to come back. And, think, as a parent, they think on the perspective of, how are they going to, once they grow, how are they going to earn, how are they going to make a living.
Yes.
So from this angle. So, and that's why even our own children as imam or as a ma'alim, if you ask them what do you want to become when you grow up, they won't tell you I want to be an ustada or I want to be imam like you. They will tell you something else.
That requires secular education.
That requires secular education. So, and for us, at some point, it's like from what I'm trying to understand here, it's like we want to encourage them to come back to religion. But for parents, they think that if we go to the secular,
yes,
at least we'll catch up with, religion. You know, I'll be, you know, he'll be a practicing Muslim. That's how we've raised maybe him or her, and so on. So that's why there's this. And the other thing is that you'll find most imams or muallims have not go through the secular system, so they don't have the proper understanding of what is required. And I think maybe later on I'm going to comment on the importance of balancing both, because talking of the dua in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. So it's upon us to balance. And that's why personally, when I'm talking to the students or the learners that I teach,
yes,
is that, you know, do not forget your portion in dunya. Do not also forget your portion in akhirah. And what's more important is that when you go to the secular school, you are going to earn or make a living here in akhirah. But initially, we are here in dunya. We are here in dunya so that we may make our akhirah.
Absolutely.
So go to a secular for you to make a living here in dunya, but it will enable you to achieve your akhirah. But also, once you breathe your last,
Yeah.
once you die,
Yeah.
your deen will come into place. Now, this is what will be required. So when you go to your grave, first you will be asked about your deen, not your what you used to do in terms of secular.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sheikh Salim Charo. Now, Mwalimu Fatmah alluded to the fact that one of the reasons why many Muslim parents are not taking their kids to Islamic integrated schools is because of the cost of education in our Islamic integrated schools. Now, Sheikh Yusuf, from where you sit in SUPKEM, why is it that schools that are integrated, Islamic integrated schools, as Mwalimu Fatmah mentioned, why are they more expensive than the others?
I think, first of all, let us appreciate that setting up a private school is no walk in the park.
Yes.
It's very expensive, and running a private school anywhere in the country is very expensive.
Yes.
And to make it even a better private school that performs, that is good in performance, because private schools sells in terms of performance. They are floating in that business. All depends on the performance of the children that they teach. And that is a standard that is required for them to remain afloat.
Yes.
So in so doing, they have to do everything possible, including raising the financial capabilities to run those schools. And that's why I'm saying, first we have to appreciate that. So for somebody to claim,
yes,
because education anyway is expensive here in Kenya also.
Yeah.
Even the so-called, whatever we are talking about, the public schools, we also have challenges with the public schools.
Yes.
Quite a lot of challenges, because we know shortage of teachers, we know this, and all that stems from financial, whatever. We are seeing every time that the quotas that the government is supposed to give to the public schools sometimes are missing.
Yeah, there is exactly a challenge.
Yes, sometimes they're not on time. And that also affects the morale and the performance of the teachers and also of the schools in general.
Now, Sheikh, allow me to ask you this. Private schools and Islamic integrated schools, for that matter, are a business at the end of the day.
Yes.
Do you feel that owners of these institutions have an obligation not just of making profit, but also serving the ummah in terms of giving a platform for students, for Muslim students?
I want to demystify that first by saying that let us as Muslims, first of all, because this thing is in our mindset.
Yes.
How much is expensive? That is what we have to look at first of all. Because we have our madrasas as our primary institutions of religious education. How much are we paying in these madrasas? Madrasas hardly charge 200 shillings, 150. But again, we still don't pay even 500 shillings when we are charged at madrasas. It's very expensive for us. So first of all, let us demystify. Let us first of all remove this from our mindset. The question of finance. If you are able, because our sister said here that for those who are able, they can take their children to the integrated.
Yes.
But for those who have no alternative, they can at the same time go to the public. You see,
Absolutely.
so but then this now becomes a choice. When you take it to the integrated, of course, you know that financial burden will be required. But
Yes.
again, same. I'm also talking about our madrasas, because if we are to leave the schools in the level that our madrasas are,
Yeah.
because we are claiming the schools are very expensive, then again our madrasas are very cheap. But then what do we get from our madrasas? The results that are coming from our madrasas.
Yes.
Sometimes we have no teachers, sometimes we cannot even pay those teachers from the meager money that we're paying them. So I think it's all in our mindset, unless or until we change our mindset, first of all, because I know Muslims have money also.
Yeah.
Even those with money complain, but they have money sometimes, they don't want to pay. So let us first change it from our mindset, because we are used to these things of Zabure, or we are used to these things of Nisadaka. We should be, the children should study freely because it's Sadaka. No, let us first strive to pay. Then from the burden that we are seeing from paying, because even in public schools we are paying tuition, we are paying for extra coaching, we are paying a lot. Even in those ones, you will find that the Muslim parents are number one in terms of paying.
Yes.
It is them during these meetings who are raising this money. It is them who are in the forefront. So why can't we do it? Why can't we first of all think the same with our own institutions?
Absolutely.
So mine is just about the mindset.
And we'll be coming back to the role of SUPKEM, you know, and educational institutions here in the country. Mwalimu Fatmah, from where you sit, is the cost of education in Islamic integrated schools the only reason why Muslim parents here in Kenya are finding it hard to take their kids there?
No, 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 no.
What are
There
some
are
of the other reasons?
Yeah, there are other reasons, so many other reasons.
Yes.
And one of the major reasons is attitude. Our attitude towards fellow Muslims, Islamic schools,
Yes.
especially if a school is within the mosque. This one I've seen it so much that when the school is within the mosque compound, so many Muslims tend to think that that school is for charity, as the way Sheikh Yusuf has mentioned.
Yeah.
They expect that their children, or they just have that mentality that since the school is within the mosque, they are getting some charity, they are getting some well-wishers who are giving them money in terms of help. So what they think is that when our children go there, we expect that they are going to be given things for free. And even sometimes when you request some of these things for the parents to bring, you find that they question them a lot. The other thing is about the attitude also towards the Muslim teachers. I've been teaching in Islamic integrated school.
Tell us about the experience.
Several of them. And you find that, like I remember at that time I was coming from another school. Maybe let me just mention it, Makini School. So when I went to Islamic integrated school, I didn't like the way the parent was comparing, because this parent had seen me in that school, and she was like, this school is not doing well, and when you look at it, the services are not good. Look at the way they handle our children.
Yes.
You have been in that school, you know how they... But when you look at the fees, at that time, Makini was paying at around 30,000, and it was in the 90s.
30,000 per term.
30,000 per term.
Yes.
That is just per child in a kindergarten. And at this school, integrated school, I think it was just about 6,000 school fees. I mean, that big difference, you cannot compare the services, what you expect maybe your child to get in this school and the other school.
Yes.
So sometimes they look at also us as teachers, Muslims teachers, and they look at us like as if we are not qualified. In fact, one of the parents was saying that, were you not just picked from the houses and you are brought here to teach 1, 2, 3 to our children? They look at you and they think that you're not educated enough.
Yes,
they
you're not
think
competent
that
enough.
they don't even trust you with their children, and they don't think that you can teach their children very well. a teacher Mary or a teacher Judy somewhere is more valued than you. And you see it really from the Muslim parents.
Incredible.
I mean, yeah, so it is much of our attitude as Muslims. Do we trust each other? When you see me sitting in a position somewhere, there's a very big question mark. One of it is she really qualified? Look at her. I mean, you must be maybe looking in another way so that they see that, like, for example, when a sheikh there is wearing the kanzu and
Yes.
all, the big question is that, does he really know? Can he really speak in English?
Yeah.
I mean, those tags that even us Muslims we have, and the mentality that we have,
Yes.
you can find that a parent is kind of removing a child from that integrated school and says that they cannot pay the fee. Again, you walk around the estate and you find this child in another school.
More expensive.
Which, yeah, a private school, not
Yeah.
even a public school. And that's why I say that some of these parents, some are capable, but others are not capable. Others are genuine, and they say that this amount of fee, since my child has completed preschool, I cannot sustain, maybe
Yeah.
in primary school. And you find that the child really is going to a public school, primary school.
Yeah.
But again, you find that these other parents also claims the same. And majority of them really like crying about fees and all that,
Yeah.
that they cannot pay. I don't know, hii
And
shule
mwalimu-
si mnapata msaada, hii shule iko kwa msikiti.
Yeah.
Mwalimu simfanye kama msaada kidogo, hamna bursaries hapa pia.
Yeah.
You see, so they look at it as a
Yes.
charity organization.
Mwalimu,
or
before
something.
I go to Sheikh Salim Charo, you've gone through that experience of, and it's really, really heart-wrecking that ourselves as Muslim, we belittle, you know, the experiences and competencies of our own Muslims when we should be doing the opposite of that. So you've gone through that experience, you know, where someone has belittled your competency. What is the impact of that? How did that make you feel? How did that affect your work?
Okay, as a teacher also you feel about it, yeah?
Yes.
You are a human being,
Yes.
and you feel about it. But again, these are children that you have been given to take care of.
Yes.
It's only your work that will prove them wrong at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Yeah.
I remember at that time, after the students were able to graduate, that is from pre-unit now going to primary school, class 1,
Yes.
and the parents were so amazed. So these children could do this. My child can do this. My child. So it's like now they are just like, oh, so she can also do it.
Amazing.
She's capable of doing it. And this
Amazing.
is where now they start now trusting you.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, we'll be coming back. Sheikh Salim Charo will be dissecting to us about the attitude, you know, that Muslims have when they see a Muslim integrated schools with a mosque, as Mwalimu Fatmah has alluded to. Don't touch the dial. We'll be back right after the break.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
KIPS Technical College is one of the largest technical colleges established and mandated to operate by the TVET Authority. We are a leading institution offering high quality and accessible technical and professional training through a rich curriculum and a professional faculty. We offer diploma, certificate, and artisan courses in business management, journalism and media studies, community development, information and communication technology, hospitality, and tourism. Our students enjoy a serene study environment with well-equipped laboratories and workshops. We offer full-time and evening classes, distance and e-learning. We have 6 campuses located within Nairobi, with Philadelphia campus at Philadelphia Building opposite Afya Center, Tomboya Street. Our January 2022 intake is ongoing. Apply now for the best training. For more information, call 0720813026 or visit our website at www.kips.ac.ke. KIPS Technical College, your sure path to success.
Kwa majina naitwa Onyango Touch, nawakilisha Peace Mission Volunteers hapa Nairobi.
Kwa majina naitwa Hezron Mwaluga, waziri wa ugatuzi, bunge la wananchi Kenya.
Huruma si utumwa, na tukiangalia vile ndugu zetu wanaumia katika sehemu za ukame humu nchini, inatupiga na butwa.
Lengo langu kuu nikiwa nimesimama hapa ni kuhusu janga la njaa linaloendelea katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Ndiposa tukasema tuhamasishe wananchi, haswa wale walio na uwezo, wakumbuke wale hawana uwezo kwa wakati huu kwa chakula.
Ningeomba wa Kenya, haswa wa Nairobi, usaidizi wenu.
Tunaona kwamba hapa Nairobi ni hakika tunashiba. Kumbuka kwamba sehemu nyingine kuna wale ambao hawana uwezo kwa wakati huu kulingana na ukame.
Na si usaidizi peke yake, ila pia tuandamane nasi hadi tuhakikishe chakula imewafikia wenye wameathiriwa.
Ni vyema tuwakumbuke, ndio maana tukasema tufikie wananchi, tuwakumbushe kwamba huruma ni kitu na ni jambo muhimu. Tunawasihi popote pale mlipo, tafadhali endeleeni kukumbuka wale ambao hawana uwezo kama Wajia, Masabit, Isiolo, Samburu na sehemu za ukame humu nchini.
Asanteni, na Kenya mtakachotupa tuahidi kitafika na tuarudishia ujumbe.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the second part of our discussion here on Real Talk Live. I'm your host Abdulhakeem Kigen, and today we are discussing about Muslims and the secular education. With me is Sheikh Yusuf from SUPKEM. We have Sheikh Salim Charo and Mwalimu Fatmah. We had an interesting discussion. Welcome to the second part. Now, before we went on a break, Mwalimu alluded to the fact that when Muslim parents for that matter, see a Muslim integrated school and there is a masjid there, they look at it, from the perspective of, there is some charity associated with the school. So when it comes to remittance of payments that they are supposed to do, things tend to be a bit shaky. Sheikh Salim Charo, you are an Imam. You have been a teacher before. How do you place this?
I think it's the mindset that we've been told before or earlier. because even I do always ask this question.
Yes.
You know, how many of us have ever gone to a bookshop and bought a mushaf? Because anything that is religious, we've created this notion of that. Yani everything that is religious is free.
Yes.
Msikiti tujengewe, stima ilipwe na mfadhili, and so you know these things. So it happens that this integrated school is within the premises of the masjid or a mosque.
Yes.
You know, they'll tend to believe that this was, you know, was made by well-wishers, and you know, the ones who are there are not supposed to pay anything. You know, that's the mindset that you know most people do have. And I think I'll also add on what she said, the attitude with parents. I've ever been a teacher in a certain integrated school here. Yes. And what happened is that most parents were never concerned in anything to do with the Islamiyat.
Yes.
Islamic, you know, Quran, the Hadith, they never. But for them, they'll tell you, I chose to take my child to a Muslim or an Islamic integrated school because they are taught Quran and they are taught religion there. But when it comes to after exams, you know, looking for results and you know, their performance.
Yes.
You know, we've been there waiting for parents. You know, you prepared everything. You know, and no parent will even, you know, come ask how is my child doing in terms of the Islamiyat subjects.
Yes.
You know, and they will go to an extra to an extent that they will even take the secular teachers. They will hire them for tuition or and so on and so forth. So this is the mindset that we have created, you know, as parents, and I think we just we've become Muslims that we just you know, profess Islam just by name, simply because we inherited it, but we don't want to invest anything when it comes to.
We need a change of attitude.
We need to a change of attitude.
Thank you. And now, Sheikh Yusuf, I'm looking at Muslims in this country, and there are Muslims who live in places, or if you could look at their incomes, and they're from low-income societies, okay? People who live in informal settlements. So they might not have, you know, the financial strength and muscle to pay for private Muslim integrated schools. So my question is, where you sit in SUPKEM, is there or has there been programs of Waqf where, you know, schools are built through Waqf foundations, and these Islamic integrated schools, once they are built, parents will be able to pay an incentivized amounts, people living in this, you know, in the low-income society, so that their kids are able to obtain, you know, Islamic education. Is there such a program or plans for that?
What I can say is that we have welcomed so much the government directives that religious institutions, based schools, be returned to the communities that serves it.
Yes.
And perhaps maybe we know that our Christian counterparts have a lot of schools, and perhaps maybe the government had that directive with them in mind. But nevertheless, again, as Muslims, we're also working to in terms of taking advantage of that also, because we know there are so many community schools that were Muslim-owned schools before, but were then taken over by the government. So this is one thing that a program that actually we are following up. And we also know that we have a lot of imbalances in terms of setup of integrated schools, because we know most of integrated schools, as we have all alluded to, are very expensive and are found within the urban setups.
Yes.
But for those in the rural, they only depend on the public schools, and most of those public schools in the rural areas bear only the Muslim names. A school is named maybe something Muslim school, but yes, the name have just been retained, maybe to lure them, maybe, but if you look at the school, it's hardly Muslim school.
So there are no Islamic programs.
It's not an Islamic institution per se, but it's just a school, either it's public or the name will just be retained because it's a Muslim-dominated area, or perhaps to Lua Muslims or something like that. And most Muslims who are from the poor rural areas have those only to say about themselves. They'll take their children to school. Yes, it's a Muslim school by name, but it's not Muslim school per se. This imbalance, yes, the setup of these schools have led to this thinking that we are talking about now, that perhaps the integrated schools are either for the rich or are either for those who are able.
Yes.
Because nobody have thought about the dwellers who are in the villages. Yes. Because hardly any integrated school exists for them. And if it's there, it's a madrasa that has been turned unstructurally to an integrated school one. Even the madrasas that we have in those areas are not even to the capacity, because the madrasas that we have sometimes lack in terms of structures, equipments and everything. So you hardly can call it even an institution that can assist. But this is the Haliyatu wa Islamu that we have currently. Again, it will take a lot of time until we change our attitude as Muslims and we learn to invest in what is our own. Because I know that if Muslims want to invest in what is our own, we can do that.
Yeah. It's
only that the attitude of looking around for somebody to assist us, for somebody to help us, that is what we have to change.
And on that note, Sheikh Yusuf, while we were beginning the show, we saw the clip from the principal of Mumia's Boys Muslim School alluding to building of mosques. You know, mosques are being erected in almost every corner, and in that we need more schools at the moment, so we should change our focus from not just building mosques, but schools. I mean, how is SUPKEM addressing this?
As it is currently, because building of mosque, we cannot directly interfere, yes, but at least we have to sensitize our people. Because we have mosques that have been built, just like he alluded, just like he said, that hardly have 5 people inside. We have mosques even that are being sold, that is, a mosque has nobody to pray in, and the ownership of that property perhaps changes hands, and then the mosque is now auctioned.
Sheikh Yusuf, this is shocking.
Somebody buys a parcel of land with a mosque in it and decides that I don't need this mosque, and the mosque is put under auction. So Muslims have to buy this mosque. Or in other areas, the mosque has been sold. So we have had those, and it's still going on there. Yes. So these are what we're saying, that even to our brothers, because building mosques is also a lucrative business to some of us, because the only thing that you can you can go and entice the foreign donors is with building mosque and the Darul Aitam. These are the 2 principal institutions that we solicit for funds from our donors to make. And even our donors do not do assessments. We do not look at the viability of the projects that we are doing. Sometimes this is what we found in some of these mosques. So I think the mindset and the attitude that we need to change is that we need to assess what do we need. Absolutely. In some communities, we hardly have even community halls to do their functions. Do we need mosques or do we need community halls? Do we need schools or do we need even hospitals, community hospitals, which are lacking? So I think these are the discussion that SUPKEM is taking forward now.
So feasibility studies are also important, you know, when we're looking at funding in Islam. But that also points out something, that we also need a change in mindset of our donors, so that it's not just about funding mosques, but also funding schools. Now, Sheikh Salim Charo talked about performance of the Islamic integrated schools. And Mwalimu Fatmah, you're a teacher. You deal with performance each and every day, exams and so on and so forth. Why do you think the performance of Islamic integrated schools is where it is? Because I'm looking at the results for the past previous years, both KCSE and KCPE, top 100, top 200, and Islamic integrated schools have some weightlifting to do.
Looking at the results of Islamic integrated school, there are some schools which are doing very well.
Yes.
It's not that, you see now what the media normally shows or broadcast to the public,
Yeah.
sometimes they do not look at the Muslim schools. And most of the time that is what they do. So we just see these national schools appearing and maybe other, but they don't cover what the Muslim schools have been doing.
So they are not
They
highlighted.
have done well. They are
Yeah.
doing well. Several schools. Look at Sheikh Khalifa, which is, we know that it's a school
Yeah,
which
it's a
has been
national
there
school down in Mombasa County.
for so long.
Yeah.
Look at Nairobi Muslim Academy in South Sea. It's doing well. Look at Wami Boys. Although there are some challenges, maybe we can say that they are facing, just like in any other school. You see, now as Muslims, sometimes we think that being an Islamic integrated school, we should not face any challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, we should just be 100% perfect.
Which is a
all
lie.
things are okay. So it can never be like that. These are challenges. Even in public schools, we have challenges. There are burning schools and all that. So these challenges are always there. As Muslim, as a community, what we need to do is we need to kind of strategize and see how we can help our schools grow, but not maybe be the cause for the downfall of the schools, because it is the community which will build the school.
Absolutely.
And if the community does not support the school, then we have no schools.
Wow, amazing, incredible remarks. Now, Sheikh Salim Charo, we saw that from the same clip that I keep on referring to of Mr. Asman, he talked about the leadership structure of Islamic integrated schools. And in some schools, the Imam, who heads the mosque in the school, is the overall leader of the institution. And in others, it is the principal of the school. And sometimes there is a tiff, between who should be the top man, in that position. Now, Sheikh Salim, the teacher principal alluded to the fact that we sometimes go for imams to head the overall institution, imams who are not so much invested and not so much competent when it comes to secular education. So you find the school tends to have an attitude of disregarding, and shoving away the importance of secular education.
That's what's happening in the grassroots.
Yes.
Because there's this what would I refer it to? But most imams, listening to them, you'll hear them say that if the Prophet ﷺ was here, yeah, he will be in charge of everything or anything. So since I'm here, I have the Islamic knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, so I should be the overall leader, I should be the chairman, I should be the whatever. And we've seen even, for some, even trying to run the mosque itself, it becomes a very challenging thing.
Yeah.
So for such, bringing them to BOG and, or even entirely, the general administration of such,
yeah.
and knowing very well that maybe they do not have this background. Even the ones who appoint these people, it's a big problem for them.
Yeah.
But I think, I think this is what should happen, that, a person who is competent,
yeah,
should be appointed. And we do not say that if Imam is competent,
yeah,
and he has this, he has the ability, to run such an institution. Yeah, let them lead.
So
but if
as an imam,
yes,
you are on the position that if the imam is not the best person to run to be in charge of the whole organization, someone else should be appointed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because even I've been chairman of imams in Nairobi.
Yes.
So and I know even there are imams who are there who are they are imams, but they are not even qualified
to be in charge of the mosque.
Even for them to be imams.
Wow.
Yeah. So they are not. So and that's why I'm saying if someone is qualified, yeah, they can lead. They can do whatever role they want to do. But if someone is not qualified, why should we give them?
Yeah. Sheikh Salim, you've mentioned that you are once, the chairman of imams in Nairobi County.
Yeah. Yes.
And former chairman.
Yes.
Let me refer to you by
Former,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Now, when you saw situations like that, where
Yes.
you had some imams who are not, competent and did not have the necessary skills to be in charge of a mosque, when you came across such instances, what did you do?
It's a big problem. Most mosques happen to be, their community.
Yeah.
And at times, with the community,
Yes.
si tunapenda vitu za bure. Unaelewa? So if I bring a qualified imam, maybe a graduate from a university,
Yes.
unajua pia mshahara yake itakuwa pale.
True.
So wacha tu huyu alienda madrasa, najua swalisha hapa sasa ile hakuna. Be the imam. That's what they I'll have to kupatia because pia unakuta imams are also underpaid.
Yes.
So unaelewa, na it's not because I really don't know, but the all this attitude and mindset.
Yeah.
Tunapenda vitu za bure bure, so tuna appoint mtu ambaye si qualified, and a lot of things ambazo zinafanyika baadaye, the same imams. So this is the person now you will come and find that atakuja atawaambia nyinyi mnasoma nini hii mambo ya dunia hii.
Yes.
So unakuta diversion yote inatolewa. Let me just conclude with a short experience that I have experienced.
Briefly.
No, he was kwa matatu, and this person was not an imam but a Muslim. And katika discussion too, as we are talking, and this person was totally against female or girls being educated and such. And akaongea sana, pana msichana afundishwe kupika, afundishwe kuangalia bwana yake, akae kwa nyumba. So and very passionate. Unaelewa?
Yes.
So I let him speak, and then at the end akauliza, sasa wewe uko na bibi ama iko na nini? Uko na msichana akiwa mgonjwa ama tuseme pengine anaenda kujifungua, utaacha mwanaume aende amshughulikie ama utaacha mwanamke?
Yes.
So and he was like, kwa nini mwanaume angalie bibi yangu? So hapo hivyo ndio akili ilishtuka. So we really need, we want let's say female midwives.
Yes.
And yet we don't want to take our girls there. Unaelewa?
Absolutely.
So this is the problem our community is facing.
Makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
Mwalimu Fatmah was laughing when you made the remark of, that girls should just be taught to cook and that's enough. She'll be telling us more about that. Sheikh Yusuf, so let me start from here. Are there some schools, some Islamic integrated schools in Kenya that SUPKEM is in charge of? They are there?
Yes, SUPKEM is in charge of a girls' school in Maragua.
Great.
We have a school in Nairobi.
Perfect.
And yes, those are Islamic schools, but they are teaching secular.
Yes, okay. So the question is, we've talked about the competency of imams who happen to head the overall institution, not just the mosques in the Islamic integrated schools. Is there a criteria that SUPKEM uses or advises Kenyans to use when picking an imam who will be the overall leader of the institution?
First of all, let me inform you, Abdulhakeem, that SUPKEM doesn't run mosques.
Yes.
Mosques are run by communities, and it is communities which appoint and pay imams. In Kenya, currently, we do not have a system of employing imams or even of recruiting imams. So the big question that we should be asking ourselves, how do one become an imam in Kenya?
Yes.
But that is the critical question. Is it out of competency, or is it out of the simple basics that one knows about Islam, or is it out of the fighting? You fought and you won in terms of ejecting the leadership that was there, and then you have self-appointed yourself.
And Sheikh Yusuf, just to drive this,
yes.
We are talking about imams, yes, who are already imams,
yes.
but then, have the skills and the capabilities of running an whole institution that is a school. So from where you sit, what kind of attributes would you recommend that we look into when selecting imams who will be the head not only of the mosque but also of the school?
An imam is a leader.
Yes.
Is a mentor. Is somebody who is supposed to motivate and is somebody who is supposed to build. Everyone in the community will be looking up on him in terms of leadership, because Imam is more of leadership than anything else. So the overall competency of that Imam will come or will be seen from how he navigates the leadership within. He might not be in the capacity of what we want him to be.
Yes.
He might not be an accountant per se. He might have no knowledge in economics, but how he leads the economists who are around, how he leads the accountants who are around, how he can mobilize them when it's needed. This is the type of person that we need.
So it's the leadership skills.
It's the leadership that we need.
Fantastic.
And that is what the Prophet ﷺ was showing in terms of him being a chief imam.
Yes.
Because he was the leader. He was the commander-in-chief of the forces. He was everything because he could command leadership. And that is what is needed from the imam.
Yes.
But an imam who will show divisiveness, an imam who has no capability to lead, then that is what we are saying he's spelling doom.
Mwalimu Fatmah, you have served in various schools as a teacher. And do you think there is a difference in a place, in an Islamic integrated school, where it is being run by an imam who is not a teacher per se, not in the formal administration sector of the school, vis-a-vis a school that is, yes, it's Islamic integrated, but the person who is the overall head of the institution is the principal of the school? Is there a difference?
There is a difference because of professionalism.
Yes.
You find that this person, the other person, is trained and capable of maybe discharging the duties the way they are supposed to be discharged.
Yes.
And whereby maybe this other person does not have the manpower or the knowledge to do whatever that is. And the way that they are going to run can never be the same.
What would you recommend?
That maybe as Islamic institutions, when you find that some people have the capability, but they just lack some skills,
yes,
then they can enroll in some courses so that it can boost whatever qualities that they have. Let's say maybe this is an imam, he's a literate imam, and we want him to become the administrator of the school.
Yes.
Then there are some courses, there are some trainings that they can undertake, they can go and whatever, at least have the qualification and the know-how, how to handle issues when it comes to management. Because otherwise, it's not the same way that I manage my house. That's the way that I can manage the school.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sheikh Salim, Charo, your parting shot for this conversation.
I think what's important is for us Muslims to change the mindset, and also more importantly is to embrace and balance both knowledge, because we, as much as we need our akhirah, we also need our dunya. And as parents, let's say invest in both. Thank you.
Mwalimu Fatmah, please talk to parents and also pupils and students. They are currently at home for the holidays.
Yes.
What would you say to them concerning this conversation?
Okay, maybe I have the advice for the community also. Let me start with the community,
yes,
because it really matters a lot. We as Muslim community, we are supposed to build our schools. What I mean by building is we give all our support to the school. We are not the ones who are supposed to speak negatively about the schools. That is Islamic integrated schools, which we find that majority of us normally do that. And also these schools, they are young. And with the support of the community, the schools will rise up and they'll be able to do very well. And to the students who are at home, we see a lot of changes. I also have teenagers. I have boys who are also teenagers now in Form 4, yes, Form 3. And what I will say is that for the other children also, is that they adhere to the teachings of Islam, because the world has changed and we are seeing a lot of changes. It's a world whereby the parents really try kind of to get grip of their children, but it is impossible. So children are also supposed to adhere to the teachings of Islam. Excellent. Because it is only Islam that will save them at the end of the day.
MashaAllah. Sheikh Yusuf, your final words.
I would say let us continue to build the capacity of our imams, to make them to the level that we as a community expect them to be. But at the same time also to our parents, let us change the mindset that we have, that we are sending our children to school to learn English just as a medium of communication.
Yes.
As soon as he knows how to communicate in English, and that's all. Let us send them there to be competent enough to be able to learn what is supposed to be learned. Because while we are sending them to those integrated schools, we know that in some areas we are also not supporting our madrasas. So at the end of it, our children are neither in school nor in madrasas. And in that, we are not building them, but we are destroying them.
Yes. As we conclude this awesome conversation today, I want us to know that in this day and age that we are living in, secular education is important, perhaps indispensable. But make no mistake, it's not more important in any way, shape or form than Islamic education. What we have as an ummah is an obligation to find a balance. A balance in the sense that you can be a successful carpenter, doctor or journalist, but at the same time a knowledgeable and steadfast Muslim. Thank you so much for joining us on Real Talk Live today. Thank you so much, Sheikh Yusuf, Sheikh Salim Charo and Mwalimu Fatmah. It's been a pleasure having you today on Real Talk. What I want to say is that visit us on our Twitter handles at HorizonTV Kenya, on Instagram and on Facebook. Share with us your comments on what you think about this discussion. Let's keep the discussion going even after the show. I have been your host today, Abdulhakeem Kigen, and until next time, stay safe and keep it Horizon TV. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.